Welcome, everyone, to another members show, live meditation teaching. Yeah, that's right. I'm here with all of you. This next meditation teaching is a scale down from what you've had that has been taking you to the stars. This is another one of a regular and basic type of visualization and meditation process that you'll be able to use to ground yourself during the great journey that is your life. In some of the previous meditation teachings, we talked about consciousness exploration vehicles, building and saving store points, how to create light around yourself, how to use the chakra system. I gave you those creations for you to record with your own voice so that you are your voice teaching you. This next step that you're about to get leveled into meditation teaching is going to incorporate some other journeying techniques that you will need in your consciousness exploration vehicles to other realms, other places, and other worlds. So I'm going to give you an overview this time on purpose. And this is so that your intellect can start co-creating with a process that you already know is about understanding the visualization techniques. So this is titled The River Walk, Part 1. And Part 2 will be next month. It is something that is going to compound upon the basic skills of what you learn in this and what you've learned in other meditation teachings. So in the first process here, I'm going to be describing what is a base camp. It is your spirit home. It is where when you fall asleep and you wake up on the other side, it is your dream world you've built with your conscious mind, your conscious meditations and visualizations. And I've spoke about these in other meditations known as Journey to Sacred Mountain. So the second part will be the prayer for your journey, what it takes in this internal meditation of focus with external voice allowed in it without breaking the seams of consciousness. And then the next part will be taking that journey and seeing the grand view of the river valley below you. And I say below you because I'll give you a grand description. Then we will be listening to the forest. And then we will be reaching our first base camp. And we'll begin our first fire, our first sky watching, and then walking into the dream. So you understand the process that's coming here over the next 20, 30, 40 minutes. Now, there has been no practice for this in any way, shape, or form. I'm doing this as an example so people can understand the level of creativity that can be required during your dream journeying, during your own visualization process. When one in their own expressive moments can get to 20, 30, and 50 minutes with a seamless connection of the teachings that you've learned in all of your other expressions, you know that your experience in the visualization journey you're on is leading you into the mystical of the moment, the mystical of the time, and the mystical that you are creating and co-creating with all your previous words and previous meditations and previous high points of power being brought into this moment of now. Because within this moment of now, with no script and just a basic concept of explaining what this is about, I'll be able to pull up expressions from long ago and allow them to have the power of the present moment to co-create with all the individual potentials that are being brought out as external voice here. So just everyone relax a minute. Allow the stresses of life to fall away. Get back to that heart center. Begin the most simple visualization, bringing light into your heart with each breath that you take. Bringing light in through your nose, filling up your eyes and your brain, and filling up your neck. And the next breath, filling into your lungs and your shoulders, and feeding your heart fresh prana, fresh life force that is going through the heart muscle, that heart meat you were born with. At the very beginning, as a fetus in a mother's womb, before you had arms and legs, you were just a heart. Simple as that, just a heart. That heart that is beating in your chest right now is the same heart that was in the fetus in mother's womb. There is your direct link to that infinite state of being who was creating all potential for you. So in this moment, call upon that visualization of the fetus in the womb over your heart. Allow that in. Give that this moment of connective and interconnective, potent power of infinite energy. Contemplate those words. Infinite energy, potent power. The more potent your visualization is, the more power you will get to the very blood that is a part of this meditation teaching. Go deeper. And inside your heart, with the fetus in that overlaid image, see the 7 chakras inside the heart. The root, red. The sacrum, orange. The solar, yellow. The heart, green. The throat, blue. The third eye, indigo. The crown, violet. All of those chakras exist inside that fetus in the mother's womb. They are just compressed. And in this compressed state, say with heart words, I am the being of the ancient future now. With this visualization, I acknowledge and accept myself as potential actualized. With that statement, we begin the meditation journey. I want you to visualize a tribe of people that are your soul family that you've known for thousands and thousands and thousands of lifetimes. They're all sharing human form right now. You are in an incredible forest, the jungle canopy all around you, and birds in the forest and monkeys in the background, and the sounds of nature are there. There is no high technology. There are some small stone monuments that signify those of the past, the ancestors, created something of the present so we can go and forth into the future generations and discover what the ancestors didn't. It's an ancestral offering place. Create this village that has your own home in your mind. Maybe everything has 6 or 7 acre properties, sharing little farm spaces in a community way. Find the center of this little town in your mind. Look to the horizons and all around you, through the trees. There are no clocks here. There is no Roman numeral time here. This is natural human living time, from the passing of the seasons and the moving of the stars. It is midday, and at the center of the village, you see your name on a little placard that says you've been selected to go to the river and take the great journey to the headwaters of life. That where the journey began for the water imprinted coming out of the ground. It is your turn to go and learn from the headwaters and the journey up this river what it will mean to connect to the very source of water that comes out of the high mountains. Contemplate that in your meditative state, where pure water that might be snow millions of years ago formed into a glacier that has melted over millions of years, that seeped through the top of a mountain down 10,000 feet and come out a crack in the base of the mountain that is filtered through the ancient process of the rocks, the stones, and the mountains. That water is as pure as can be, waiting to be imprinted with the human concept of life itself. Those streams where the water come out to form the great headwaters of the great river of mystery is your goal. Take a time and contemplate that. You've been selected to go to the headwaters of the great river of mystery, so the very source where the mysterious waters live, breathe, feel, and experience. So see this home camp now. Really give it vision for when you arrive at the actual headwaters. You'll be asked, can you visualize it? Can you see home? In journeying to other worlds, you must know your home. It is very easy to get lost, misplaced, or not understanding the fractions of energy that might be missing from what you believed is home. Our mind oftentimes fills in the blanks when we're on journeying very rapidly, and is the reason I gave you a heads up for you to begin to train your intellect and not your mind, the actual spiritual intellect and the physical intelligence that's with the spiritual intellect, to create the imagery in actuality instead of letting the mind, based in memories, fill in what it might believe is the next potential. You're going to the headwaters. So when you are at the headwaters, you should have a vision even before you go. And when you arrive at the headwaters, you will have the vision of the entire journey and the vision of where you began. So now in your mind, see yourself in that village. It is your individual journey to the sacred headwaters of the great mystery of rivers. Imprint into your mind what this imagery is for yourself, knowing full well after the next meditation teaching, you will be there. So we will be able to practice that many times, where your starting point is. Give it details. Go to your actual home. Pack your actual bag. What are you going to put in it? A compass? A knife? A flashlight? Low technology? Torch? You have to make those decisions of what's coming with you. In this meditation teaching, my advice is to begin to write it down, to convert this creation into manifestation, quite literally. Mind to document. Digital or paper, doesn't matter. Write down what you're going to take with you. Extra pair of shoes, underwear, compass, crystals, books, the things you would want to take with you. So when you arrive at the headwaters and you spend your few days up there, how are you entertaining yourself? What is recreational that you're going to be doing up there? Ask yourself, if you right now, the physical being in this meditation teaching, were offered this journey with a sacred map, what would you bring with you? And what would you do with your 2 days that you had up there? This is a practical visualization and meditation that can begin to prepare you for spiritual pilgrimaging in the physical as well as the spiritual. Learning these skills, mastering them through the fetus and the heart, will show you the greatest power factors that you can use to imprint. When you go to the fetus and you say, I am co-creating with you at this moment through this visualization by sharing imagery of the fetus in the womb over my mother's heart, combined with the compressed chakra system. That is the most basic spiritual mechanics one can use to their own visualization, meditations, and direct manifestations. That is a teaching that you must take deep into yourself. You must allow more meaning to expand your knowingness. Contemplate those words, expanding your knowingness. You should know what you need to bring with you, unless you never camp, unless you never do any of those things. Here's some more things. Fishing equipment, lures, a tent, a horse, something that is going to be a part of the journey with you. You know you're going upriver. You can take a canoe upriver. They've been doing that for millions of years. You could also walk. In this guided visualization meditation for the first part, we will be walking for this first day. So you will want extra shoes, extra socks, all of those things Really give it power. Really give it meaning. Then the next process is that first prayer. Do you even know what your first prayers are to a journey? Most of you don't. So here's an example. I, in this ever present moment, acknowledging that I have a journey being offered to me as a gift from my soul family, as a part of my direct manifestation of dream life. I take this ever present co creative moment to acknowledge the photonic light journey that is going to be taking place in my mind. I bring forth the power of my heart and the power of the fetus in mother's womb to create and co-create a circle of protection and visualization power so I may see with my third eye, see with my two eyes, feel with my skin, embrace with my heart all forms of this visualization that are by design to open me up to spiritual pilgrimaging, physical pilgrimaging, so I may begin to cleanse myself with the great elements of this world. I call to the ancestors of the past who have created this ceremony and ritual to offer it as gifts to the beings of the now, so they can understand the mysteries of the great river and then pass it on to their future generations who can continue this tradition in this great way of life. I offer this in the most humblest of ways, that my journey be recorded into the Akashic record of my life. So, as an ancient future being, when I look back onto who I was, I know I empowered myself with light, became a moving beacon of transforming darkness into light, so that ancestral energies of the negative frequency always found remedy and resolve, but did not entangle directly with this being. I call forth all ancestors of all soul relations in unity with communion and life, here in the now, to stay sacred in this spiritual cord of equity, to empower the trees, the dirt, the ground, the very images that I create through visualization with the bonded fetus in my mother's womb, to make this real, so I can use the power of my mind and third eye to create this source of renewal, the return to where the waters of life come. Those are your prayers. And you can get far more meditative, far more poetic with those. You can have your contract revocations ready here. It's vital that when you do these processes, you give it this moment of prayer, because you will be asked for other moments of prayer that will be just as powerful. For each one will stand on the previous one and assist you at making sacredness this visualization process, so the highest forms of discipline can be present in the no time moment you are using it. Now you're ready for your journey. You've got your stuff all packed, you've got your map out, and you know that the first part of the journey away from the village is going to take you on a high ridge line, and then you're going to be able to see a valley. So see yourself walking, waving goodbye to the spirit family, knowing full well your journey is safe and protected by the ancestors, past, present, and future. A few children run up to you and are looking at you with the wide eyes that one day they will be able to go to the headwaters of the river of great mystery. Because you were that child one time. In 1,000 other lifetimes, on 1,000,000 other worlds, you were that child. See yourself going further from the village, the soul family now at rest. You're on a ridgeline with trees everywhere. Pine trees, poplar trees, oak trees, willow trees. All there. Fresh berry bushes, blackberries, blueberries, birds in the trees, animals rustling around. No predators. Perfect unity. You peak the ridgeline and you see a valley that goes all the way to the other horizon's edge. And inside that valley is a river snaking between the hills and the valleys and the ups and the downs. From this far distance, 20, 25 miles away, this river looks very small, but deep down inside, you know that is a great river. You are on the south end of the valley, and you need to go all the way to the north, to the other horizon line. The river, halfway through the valley, forms a great, great, wide lake. And you see two islands in that. Those are where the grove of the patriarchs and the grove of the matriarchs live, the most ancient of trees of the forest. You are not going there. You are going to the headwaters of the great mystery, all the way north. So you are taking the ridgeline to your left. You will be bypassing the river for the first part. For you need to make good time, because you can smell rain in the air. And you want to be able to make your first camp, so that the second day of your journey, you will be able to catch the ridgeline to the river where it is no longer a big lake. There is where you'll be finding all of the little tributaries from the great headwaters that are at the under end of the valley. Thousands of little wells springing forth at the headwaters. So see yourself on the ridgeline journeying, listening to the sounds of the forest, hearing the wind through the trees. Find a little song in your mind and share it with them, so the trees can share their wind song back with you. How their canopy floats in the wind, making its own music of branches and bark rubbing, the creaks of the trees, the moan of the roots. You find yourself deep into this visualization. You have made good time. It's nearing dusk, and you know you must create camp fast. The shortcut you took allowed you to bypass the rocky part of the river and the lake, so you could head to the main tributary of the head streams. So make your camp here. Put out your tent, put up your torches, and begin to start your first sacred fire. Gather the wood. Begin praying to the wood. Thank you, friend wood, that has dropped from the great trees above, that is being offered from the ancestors as a fuel for my spirit fire. I reconnect to my home and my spirit home, where I live in duality and non-separation simultaneously. With this spirit fire, I unify all versions of myself. With this spirit wood, I give the prayers of a multidimensional being in visualization and direct experience at the same time, seeing my duality and non-separation simultaneously. With these prayers, I empower from the co-creative power of the fetus in the mother's womb, directly created to the ancient present now heart, the power of fire alchemy. I create spirit fire with prayers to the spirit wood. I gather all the ingredients for the alchemical spiritual fire of my base camp. The first spark is there, and the fire is going. Hear the water, and know that this is your time to let down. Okay? Pull out your little pouch that's got your crystals in it and place them to the fire to generate energy. Pull out your spiritual objects of visualization that are your sacred objects. Place them near the fire. For these are your ancestral teachings, your spirit guides, your spirit wisdom, manifest here in the now for you. Now you see why I've asked you to truly put power in what you're bringing with you. You will have quite some time to practice this most basic form of the Medi-Teachings. For the next layer that comes is the next part of the journey. But for now, here's your next set of tools that I want you to begin to master in this individual part of the journey. Setting up your fire in your mind. That's assembling the wood, creating the prayer, bringing forth the connective power of the fetus in the womb to the very out louds and internal words in your co-creative divine power of moment of the now, who is the being both visualization and experiencing. That's your duality and separation seamlessly observed as both compartment and non-compartment. The very act of doing it as a creative process and an experiencing process. Create that fire. Put all of the mystical and magical treats that need to be into it, that spark you to be giddy with joy that you've come up with such a combination of things for your spirit fire, for the being in the visualization, and for the being who will come out of it with a great recharge of your own creativity. So think, what else do I need at my base camp? Connect into the fetus in your heart, for that is the being that was there before the journey began. And this is where the meditation teachings cross over into a healing. For this very concept that you've learned in the visualization part is how you can heal your heart of heartbreaks or situations that have gone wrong. All of us have had a boyfriend or a girlfriend that have gone the wrong way, or a set of friendships that you didn't know were going to go sour. Here is where you say to the fetus in the womb, I was unprepared for this type of personality. I would like for you to prepare a way for me to understand on a spiritual contract basis why I am misunderstanding those people. Prepare me a fetus synopsis, so the ancient future now, who's coming back to the fetus and asking for new levels of creation, so that we are co-creating on this journey. You were the very one that began the birth journey into the great forgetting. I am the heart that grew from that. I am the ancient future now. Who knows that the ancient past me in the fetus is still me, interconnected to the now? When we are in non-competition and equal co-creation, we can heal our hearts, our bodies, and our spirits. So bring about that visualization process. So when you go back to the fetus and say, you know what? I should have brought flashlight. I should have brought a turkey dinner. Whatever would have given you that comfort, you can do that at this first base camp. This is where you get to go back to go and get whatever you need and manifest it in the now. A vital experiential thing that you will need on spiritual journeying and spiritual pilgrimaging. Because if you leave without a particular power amp device, it's still with you. You can go back into the energy field and bring it to you in spirit form as if it were actually there. Being able to have that power to call upon the ethers and manifest through your will, through that power of the bonded fetus in the I am heart now. Anything is available. It's a thought away. So you cannot be trapped in a demon realm or a hell unit. None of those things have any power over you when you know you can summon at the tips of your finger the greatest powers of creation. I am simply asking you to do it for your first base camp at a first fire so you can truly enjoy it. The extra levels of creation and co-creation that you'll go to is up to you. You are not limited by the physics of weight. Your bag can hold an unlimited amount of stuff and it shall never weigh you down. It's your choice how those physics work. So now you've worked at that base camp, you've worked at that fire, and you put your first meal out. What are you going to feed your visualized, spiritual, meditative self who's going to come out of this as an experience? What's the meal you want to cook on an open fire? My suggestion, you start a pot of soup. Call it the ancestral soup that will receive the ancestral blessings of all those that came before you who have gone to the headwaters of the river of great mystery. Ask for their power to become to your spiritual courts of equity through the alchemy of this soup. Look for green herbs on the ground, small tubers. You can bring whatever food you want with you. Put it over the fire. Along with your soup, you can do something even more classic. Create something living with yeast. You know you're making a soup, you shall need bread. So for those of you that have ever made bread before, visualize the smell of yeast. And for those of you who have never smelled yeast before, head out to your grocery store and spend 89 cents on a pack of yeast. Do what the instructions say. It is a unique smell that can greatly trigger the body into ancient memories deep into our amnesia, because bread is that common for our experience. Smell that warm water and yeast, a little bit of salt, a little bit of sugar. Allow it to set, and you empower that with prayers. This is the sacred ancestral bread that will be served with my sacred ancestral soup, that I will be consuming in my spirit visualized world, and what remains I will offer to the ancestors, so the next step of my journey has more energy for a part of me. For I know in sharing every part of the meal with the ancestors, I am getting a higher value of equal co-creation, because my hyper frequency of the now is in equal creation and equal co-creation. There are other things that you can do beyond bread. Just you have to be creative so that it triggers you. So you're reaching to that first meal. Taste it in your mouth. Truly taste it. Can a heart with a fetus taste it? Challenge yourself to taste your meal that you've created for yourself, knowing that in the next meditation teaching journey, you are going to arrive to the headwaters of the great river of mystery. Savor this moment, for the skills that you teach yourself here in the next teachings will compound 100-fold and allow you to have 1,000% more of an experience. Truly take upon this. Call upon the other skills that you've learned in the other meditation teachings. Here, when you're tasting that soup, surround yourself in the golden tube of energy, the same one that takes you to the sun. Align your different frequencies to consciousness exploration. Compress the energy in and around your chakras. Reach into that toolbox. And in this time that you are consuming your food, bring those other visualization techniques that you have learned to that moment. Truly make the tasting of that food that is shared with the ancestors on your first night on the journey to the great mystery of the river at the headwaters for you. A gift from the ancestors. You've been selected for this. You have earned this rites of passage. You just have to accept it and surrender to your own power, because you are not giving power away to anything but yourself in equal co-creation with the seen and the unseen world. Take it in. Taste that soup. Taste that bread, that garlic bread, whatever it needs to be. Naan bread, if you're Indian. Spicy curry. Salmon in it. Crab in it. Whatever you desire. vegetarian soup collected from the local area. Give it the power in equal co-creation. Now that you've reached that level, you must let your food settle. You must occupy yourself before the first night of sleep. Because the very next night, where will you be? At the headwaters. Contemplate the sky. Look up, just like you did in the other meditation teachings. But this purpose, you are not traveling anywhere because you already have traveled here in this visualization. Look up to the sky that has no light pollution, that is filled with the ancestors in the Milky Way, all our star brothers and sisters in different forms of light, soul families as wide as the horizons of the stars. Their journey is their journey. Our journey is our journey. Focus here your journey of observing the stars as a visualized, compartmented, and non-compartmentalized being. Here, and learning how to see through visualization and experience out of the power of that visualizations, you will be able to learn to travel to other worlds based off of your knowingness, where they exist in the star patterns in yourself, your knowingness, not having to look at a book every time to know where that pattern is. When you visualize it in your mind and you know that is Sirius, this is Alpha Draconis, this is this, it's whatever you want it to be. For you will take journeys there, or the halfway points there. Learning your star patterns and bringing it to this first night of sky watching. Look at the Arcturus star, the North Pole, the Vegas cluster, the Andromedas. It is your power here in the moment of now to bring that energy. If in your knowingness right now, you can only think of one or two star patterns and you don't even know the names, that's fine. The next times that you repeat these meditation teachings before next month's next member show for part 2, what are you going to bring to the table, to the base camp, to putting together the fire, to the sky watching scenes, to putting together your pack in the beginning? It is for you in this moment of now to give yourself dedication and discipline and the time to make sure all of your visualization techniques are aided, even if you need note cards to practice with. There are no rules here. It is you are the one that is visualizing and connecting through the fetus and the heart in equal co-creation. So the final part of today's meditation teaching is walking into sleep, being that dreaming being who's going to dream their last night before they go to the headwaters in the next meditation teaching. What do you want to dream about? You just had your soul family home visualized, your first journey past the great rivers and up into the tributary section. You set your first fire, your first food. You've given yourself time of star watching. You've gone through all of these visualization techniques. What do you want to dream about? Ask yourself. For here, with the fetus connected to the I am heart of the now, you can make this dream right now. Here are my suggestions. O great dream world, who's about to come to me as I sleep in this great sleep at the base of the headwaters. For then the next few day I shall travel there and see new energies. I wish to recover my old dream worlds. I wish to call forth the soul parts that have been lost in other dream worlds to return to my spiritual courts of equity. I wish that I can connect to soul family members in residual image that I haven't seen in a long time, so my heart can be filled with joy and happiness at the interconnectivity of the spirit world. I call to all the lovers of my past that have loved me into my ancient future to be present in my dream worlds in equal co-creation and non-competition. I call to all future descendants looking for me on this journey to come and share sacred dream space with me so the past, the present, and the future can be in equal co-creation and communion and union as multidimensional, multifunctional, photonic beings of dreaming light in a visualized process through the fetus in the mother's womb, bonded with the I am heart of the now. Is there a loved one that you wish to see that you haven't seen? Request visitations in equal co-creation that create healing and great value. You aren't making demands here. You are imprinting into the being that's visualizing, a being going to sleep that is you, who is going to experience your visualization of a dream. Do you see what I'm trying to get at here? How reality is an adventure here, and our visualization and our discipline behind our visualization is the mighty power of the now. Visualize yourself in that dream world, in that visualized world. Where are you going and what are you doing? Visualize your greatest form of healing, greatest form of dream connection. What do you strive for in your dream worlds? Here is where you must take notes. Here is where you must challenge yourself. Am I going to journal about this first river walk? For I have asked you a tremendous amount of things to be a proud of here. But it still comes down to holding the fetus in the heart, and the I am, who's creating imagery through a guided meditation and teaching. The challenge is here to visualize and to bring the empowerment. You are it. You are the now. Okay? Now, many of you are going to want to do this many, many times between now and the next members show. My advice is to try to do this before you go to sleep. If you want to do it during the day, that's great too. If you discover that yourself is sleepy at the end, it is okay to fall asleep. It is okay. But still challenge yourself to give the power to that dream, to what you're going to see in the sky, what star patterns that you need to memorize during the week so you can have them in your brain when you do it at night or whenever you do the meditation. What prayers are you going to do for your first fire? How are you going to visualize assembling the wood? What kind do you want? Do you want dry pine? Do you want dense oak? Did you bring a chainsaw with you or an axe? All of those things are vitally important. How are you going to start the fire? Talking to the ancestors on the journey. And then the first grand view that you had of the great valley that is part of the journey, that has the river and the lakes. Your home camp, all the soul family members that were there. It's time for you to journal this so that when you go to do it, you have the true power of yourself and manifestation behind it. This has been part 1 of the Riverwalk. Part 2 will be next month. And the visualizations, I will give it to you as a part of a synopsis. You will wake from your dream. You will break down your camp. And you will journey an entire day and arrive at the headwaters, where you will make another camp, where you will have another fire, where you will have another meal, and then you will have your experience with the headwaters. Thanks a lot, everyone. We'll catch you next month on the Members Show.